Okay, let's have some fun. It's Pedalboard Tour Day. I'm wearing one of my Yeehaw shirts, and I just want to take you through this pedalboard that I've been using on the road with Tempest since April. I think was the first time I took it out. I've slightly changed it since then. It's a little bit road worn. Some pedals are sort of crooked and not seated, but I just want to take you through it anyway, because I might change it soon, and I just wanted to document how I have had it set up. And I'll show you the bottom of the board in a bit. One of the features of this board is that it has a very ambitious amount of stuff on it. You can see the top is pretty packed, and I also have two Chox DC-10 link power supplies on the bottom, and the Line 6 wireless unit all stuffed on the bottom there. So it's a lot of shit in a small space. I don't know if I'll ever try to fit this much stuff on a pedal board again, because it was challenging, but I did it. First, I'll take you through the signal path, but more important than that is the LEDs on the bottom of the board. Can you see those? They're not as bright as they could be with all the light in this room, but LEDs on the bottom of the board, it's the cool thing to do. I'll just leave those on. So, and I literally have a little remote that controls the LEDs on the bottom of my board and changes what color they are, and the brightness and the color pattern. This is what we spend money on when we acquire gear acquisition syndrome. Okay, so the board is from Temple Audio. They're a Canadian company. I'm a huge fan of these boards. Basically, instead of Velcro, you adhere these little plates to the pedals that then lock into this aluminum grid of little circles. And it's just an alternative to Velcro. It's not perfect. I think Velcro and the backing plates have pros and cons. The pro here is that you don't have to deal with Velcro, and it's easy to pop things on and off with a little thumb screw. The con is that the adhesive is not perfect, and I've taken this on some really hot gigs and stuff, and some of the pedals have lost some adhesion. Like this one's come off a few times, and like this one's kind of crooked now, and it didn't used to be, so it's like the adhesive kind of smeared. Anyway, so the Temple setup's not like perfect, but I like it. I think I prefer it to Velcro based on my experience so far. And it's a really sturdy, lightweight board, and yeah, everything's just been working really well with it. So I'm digging the Temple Audio thing. Okay, here's the signal path. So I'm running out of my Line 6 G30 Wireless, which operates at 2.4 gigahertz. It's a digital wireless, which is really all you can use for bass, because analog wirelesses don't reproduce under 50 hertz, I think it is. That's what I know anyway. It's not my area of expertise. Anyway, so I'm running a digital wireless, even though it's cheap and it's a Line 6 product, which makes me go, I'm not sure. It actually has worked really well, and the only failures I've had have been in places where there's just too much interference and competition in the 2.4 gigahertz band, which can happen because that's where Wi-Fi networks are and stuff, blah, 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 blah. There are digital wireless systems that don't operate at 2.4 gigahertz, but they're very expensive, and I've managed to make this work. And I can always just not run wireless if it's really not working, and I usually find that out at sound check, and I don't have to find that out the hard way. Okay, so the wireless runs into the Keeley Bassist limiting amplifier compressor, which I run always on, just at like 3-to-1 compression, and just kind of clipping the bigger peaks. Like if I hit a really heavy open string, you can see the indicator turns red there, just for a second. I don't like too much of that. And honestly, that's the pedal I'm the least sure about. Not that it's not a good product, but just I don't know if I really need it there, because I am running some compression on the TC RH450 amp. It just has some built-in compression. Anyway, that runs into the Earthquaker Devices Bit Commander, which is a crazy pedal. I'll circle back to all of these. I kind of just recently put that there. It's not that useful for the gig I'm doing most with this pedal board now, but I just like it too much to not put it on my board. Then the OC2, the classic Boss octave pedal. Which I run as a synth pedal because I have the clean down. If I run the clean up, it sounds like this. You can run it as a more traditional, like funk octave, which it's okay for. I think that the Aguilar Optimizer is the dopest pedal for running like punchy funk octave sounds, but I really like the synth sound of the OC2. That runs into the EHX, or Electro Harmonics, Nano Pog, which is just like the Micro Pog, but smaller. So you can run dry signal, 1 octave down and 1 octave up on this. And the tracking, I'll solo the high octave, it's pretty good. It gets a little freaked out with complex chords. But it can handle like triads and stuff okay. That's a digital octaver. The OC2 is an analog octaver, so the digital sound is very like here's the sub octave sound. It sounds like more like a bass than an analog octave, which sounds more like synthy. But there's also something that I don't really like about digital octavers for like an octave sound. Like I use it as like an effect to just be in a different register. I don't know, it's hard to describe. Okay, then we go into the Brothers Chase Bliss Audio 2-side gain stage pedal. Boost, drive, fuzz on both sides with different circuits. So you have 6 total drive sounds possible, which you can run into each other different ways. This knob controls whether they run in parallel when they're both on, or whether A runs into B, or whether B runs into A. It's crazy how many things you can do with this pedal, and it's got a bunch of dip switches back here with which you can control things even further. There's an expression out, there's a MIDI out, all kinds of stuff that I never use. I really just use this as a drive pedal in a pretty basic way. I've got this drive that I use most of the time. I've got the A side drive, which is a little bit more aggressive. You can run them both. That's fun. I'll show you more of that in a bit. The Gravitas analog tremolo does standard tremolo, harmonic tremolo, or both, and you can control the shape of the waveform on either side, and the depth, and the sway, and the drive, and the rate. There's a tap tempo. All kinds of really fun stuff. I just bought this pedal last week, like I was telling you in the video I did last week about how cool Chase Bliss is as a company. I've had a really good experience with their customer service. Yeah, so I'm kind of just figuring this pedal out. I'm mostly concerned with trying to get, let's see, put my fuzz here. Just screwing with kind of choppy synth sound stuff, but it obviously will do other things. Oops, helps to turn it on. One of the cool things about this is this drive knob, if you don't have it dip switched to do ramping functions, which I won't try to explain what that means because I barely know, is you can actually get a little bit of dirt out of it. So you can just get a slightly fuzzy tremolo. So that's fun. Compressor, Bit Commander, Boss OC2, digital Octave with the Nano Pog, drive, tremolo, goes over here to the envelope filter by MXR. MXR for me is like kind of hit or miss. It's such a big company that I don't know. I never know if I'm going to like an MXR thing. I love this envelope filter. It's so sparkly and purple, first of all, but it has output levels for your dry signal and for the affected signal, which for me as a bass player is pretty crucial because envelope filters can really kill your bottom end. Just because of what they do. Like, so if you're like playing bass and you want some envelope on it, it's hard for me to make sense of that, at least in a live context, without having some clean signal in the mix too, because otherwise you just get all this wow, 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 and there's nothing thumping at the bottom. So I really love having control over those volumes independently. And then you can set the sensitivity and the decay of how long it takes to do the wow thing. And the Q just adjusts like how intense the effect is. Like, let's see what happens if I crank that. I haven't actually played with these. Ooh, yeah. That's weird, I like that. So envelope filter runs into the TC Corona Mini Chorus, which is great. It sounds like a chorus, which is really all you can ask for from a chorus, except that it'll actually do a lot more than that in the tone print editor. You can even set this up to be a tremolo pedal if you want, which I don't want. But one really cool thing I did with this, so normally you can control speed, depth, and effects level. Well, when I turn on chorus, I just want it to be 100% chorus intensity. So instead, I mapped the FX level knob to be a high frequency cutoff, so I can adjust it. I think here it's at like 2K or something, so I can basically adjust like the brilliance of the chorus effect. So the lower I have this knob, the less noticeable the chorus will be, but it's different than just turning on the chorus. So I really like how you can customize how these TC pedals work with the tone print editor. I'm really into that, and I set the range of the speed and depth knobs custom to like what I wanted. So speed can go from really slow to like really weird. And same with depth. Would I ever want it to sound like that? I don't know, but it's the top of the knob, so I felt like it had to do something weird. Okay, so chorus runs into the Flashback 2 delay, which I probably have to do a whole video on this sometime. It just does so much stuff. It's got digital delay, analog delay, tape delay, dynamic delay, modulating delay, crystal delay, which is pitch shifting, reverse delay, a really basic looper function, kind of like a Ditto Looper, and then 3 tone print slots. This is all digital modeling. It doesn't actually have all of those analog circuitries or anything. But it does some really crazy stuff, like this is one of the tone print presets. It's got like an organ emulation thing going on. So I'll circle back to that, but that does a lot of fun stuff. That runs into the Hall of Fame 2 Reverb, which again does some crazy things. Too, but what's the fun in that? Last, I'm running into a single Ditto Looper, which I thought I was going to use more. I mean, it's a great looper, but in the context of what I've been using this pedalboard for, I don't think I've ever used it on purpose. I've just used it on accident by kicking it at the same time that I kick on the reverb. So I normally keep the loop level down in case I create a loop by accident that I don't want to suddenly be blasting through the mains. So that's sort of just there for fun at this point. And then we run into the Polytune 3, which I don't know why you would buy another pedal tuner, frankly. It's so fast and accurate, and it looks nice, and you can decide if you want true bypass or buffered bypass. And I don't know, it's just, I find Polytune tuners to be highly superior to other things on the market. There are other good tuners, but just the price and the functionality, I don't know why you would have anything other than a Polytune on your board. It just works really well. Like there's even been times that I accidentally like had the OC2 on or something and I was still able to tune, and then I realized afterwards like, oh, I was just tuning with like a weird analog octave on and it still worked well. So yeah, that's the signal path, and then that runs to the patch bay out here, and then that goes to the amp, and then a direct out from the amp goes to the house or to my audio interface in this case. So again, wireless, compressor, Bit Commander, OC2, Nano Pog, Brothers, Gravitas, MXR envelope, chorus, delay, reverb, looper, tuner out. It's a pretty traditional signal path as far as I am aware of such things. I didn't really try anything weird. I considered flipping the reverb and the delay because you can get some fun stuff that way. But this is just how I set it up for my first try. This is my first pedal board. I should probably tell you that. I went all out. I even got the LEDs on the bottom. Okay, let's have a little bit more fun with sounds and tell you, just show you some more stuff that these pedals do. By the way, this is not at all an attempt at like reviewing these pedals or showing you everything that they do. Because there's already plenty of stuff like that on YouTube, in my opinion, and I wouldn't even be the best person to do that because I'm just exploring these with you here. Let's start with the Bit Commander. This is such a fun pedal. It's hard to use live because it's so intense that when you play it solo, you think, oh my god, that's like way too loud, I gotta turn the level down. But then in a mix with the band, it's like all of a sudden you can't hear it. So it's a little bit tricky to find the sweet spot for with bass live, for me so far. So this is a 4-way analog synth pedal, basically. 4-way meaning there's 4 different octaves to the signal, and it so I'll show you one at a time. So here's my quote-unquote dry signal. It's not actually dry, it's like squared off. And then the filter kind of acts like a tone knob. You get more like high-end crunchiness with the filter rolled up. So that's the bass signal, which is the same octave as my bass. The up is an octave up. Sounds kind of like octave fuzzy. But it's weird. I don't know quite how it works because I still hear some of the original octave in the mix there. Down is 1 octave down. About this pedal is it kind of has like a bit crushery element to it, so you can get a lot of kind of glitchy sounds out of it. And then sub is 2 octaves down. So if we run all 4, because it wouldn't be fun if we didn't run all 4. So that's pretty brutal. I like it. It's hard to use the sub a lot on bass because that's running 2 octaves down. So when you play this E, you're playing your low E on the sub knob, so you can't go much below that and expect to hear anything. But that's fine. It's a crazy pedal. Then we go to the OC2. You already heard this earlier. One of the things I really like about this is the volume when you've got the low octave up all the way. It works out for me in the bands that I use it with. It seems to be perfect. Like, you lose some high-end gain, but you gain some like subby low-end gain, and it feels like a good balance. Like when I'm playing a song where I go back and forth between a clean sound and just the OC2 by itself, it feels balanced enough that I don't need to take the gain down on the OC2 or anything. Like, it doesn't feel... I worried that after playing something that subby, if I went to my clean sound, that it would sound really thin, but it's kind of working for me, at least with this bass and amp setup and everything. Pedals are different with different basses and amps, obviously. I haven't really used this board with a passive bass, for example. Yeah, so that's all I do with the OC2 is I use it for the synth sound. I really want to get a mod with another switch to turn the clean level on and off so I could get more functionality out of the space, but I haven't really found anybody who will do that yet. If anybody knows a pedal company that does an OC2 mod with a clean switch, let me know. Okay, the Nano Pog, you've heard it. It's cool. If you run it with some fuzz, let's do neck pickup. It's an okay guitar sound. So that's fun, or you run it with like some chorus. I think the chorus helps cover up the slight pitchiness of the digital octave tracking. So I like doing that sometimes too. Chaining pedals together, by the way, is the most fun thing about pedals. I mean, pedals are fun by themselves, but I love the combos. I love the OC2 into the B side Fuzz on the Brothers. Yeah. That's one of my favorite synthy sounds. And then I love running that into the chorus. That's fun at the envelope too. The fuzz drives the envelope and the chorus really nicely. Without the fuzz, it's still a sound that I like, but yeah, I really like it with the fuzz. Yeah, so I'm gonna skip over more on the Gravitas. I don't really know that pedal that well yet, so I don't have that many things to show you, but it's really fun. You should definitely check out the Chase Bliss videos on that, and also the knobs video for any Chase Bliss pedal is dope. I'll put a link to knobs in the description. My favorite pedal videos. My favorite pedal videos are knobs and pedals and effects with Juan and Nick. Envelope we already talked about, chorus we already talked about. Okay, delay, I gotta show you. So the 2290 is the digital delay. It's based on like an old TC digital delay. So it just gives you really clean repeats. I'm actually not that good at doing that little trick where you play the dotted eighth note against the pulls. That's how you get that U2 guitar sound. Also, it'll do quarter note, dotted eighth, or both on any mode. So I can get this. So that's cool. Analog delay is just a little less digitally. Tape delay has some like tapey pitchiness to it. The other thing I have to tell you about this, the mash switch, it's an expression pedal built into the on-off switch. So if you apply some pressure, it'll do things. And the tape delay does this thing. I love doing this. So you can adjust the parameters that the mash affects and how it affects them in the tone print editor, which is crazy cool. What does that do in the analog mode? Something similar. It's not always that weird. Yeah, so you can like set infinite repeats, or you can make it oscillate, or you can adjust like the drive or the octave effects or the modulation. It's crazy what you can do with this pedal. I haven't really played with the dynamic delay. The modulating delay is cool. Yeah, so that's the modulating delay, and I think you affect the rate of modulation with the match on that. The crystal delay, this is why I had to buy this pedal. Oh, let me turn my boost off. Octave pitched delay. It's the digital octaving algorithms from the sub and up pedal that TC makes, which is very similar to the Pogs. Yeah, that's really fun. Where else are you gonna get octave pitch delay? I mean, come on. Let's see. So tone prints. Let's see, what do I have going here? I think slot 1. I have like a weird dual delay setting here where like one is reversed and one isn't. Yeah. Let's see, I think 2, I just have a really basic analog delay there. I can do that if I want to. And then 3, I stole this tone print preset. Well, it's not stealing. I use this tone print preset from the tone print editor. It's like a B3 emulation patch. You can hear you're not hearing anything now, so as I use the mash, it bumps the gain, so you can do like so that's really fun. I've been meaning to play around with changing the mash function so that the volume's always on, and then the mash affects like the modulation speed, so you can like make it sound like a Leslie rotor switch or something. I haven't gotten around to that yet though. Maybe if I do another video on that, then I'll show you guys that. Hall of Fame 2 also does a similarly huge amount of stuff. There's this basic room delay, Hall, spring reverb. Let me show you the spring. Play church reverb. Shimmer verb is just like the crystal delay. It doesn't like those complex octaves, just like the Nano Pog or any other digital octaver. There's really there's no perfect tracking in the world right now. Although the tracking on the Digitech bass whammy is pretty darn good, but it also like doesn't respond as quickly as the TC pedals and the Pogs in my experience. So that's fun. I have a tone print that's set to do the shimmer thing only when I mash it. So I can kind of swell in the octaving effect to be a little bit more subtle. So yeah, oh, there's a modulating setting on here too. I don't think I've ever actually used that. There's lo-fi. Yeah, that's fun. Okay, I think that's enough time on this. I was gonna maybe make some loops or something, but I'll do that another time. So that's the Pedalboard Tour. It's a lot of stuff on one board. Building pedal boards takes a lot of time and money and research, but it's fun. So I hope that this was fun for you to explore pedals with me. Please let me know. I could do more videos on pedals if you guys are interested. I could also not, so let me know, and I'll see you next time.